have Waseem with us. He has secured rank 7 in the civil service examination. So let us all give him a big hand. So welcome back, Waseem. Very happy to see you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So Waseem, you have secured rank 7 in the civil services examination. Quite a lucky number. What was your first reaction when you came to know that you've gotten this rank? What were you doing that time?
I was actually taking a nap. So I was at NIT Nagpur. I was waiting for the results since the morning. Then in the afternoon, I thought I should take a nap because the result is not coming today. Then I took a nap and my friend called me. Suddenly I felt like something has already happened. That's why he's calling. And then I checked. There was a PDF. Checked my name. It was on the first page only. So I was like, okay, fine.
So you did not want to do that Control F, huh?
No, this time I had decided that if my name is there on the first 1.5 pages, that is top 70, I will check it. Otherwise, फिर later on देख लूँगा. So I checked on the first page, it was there. So I was like, I think my first reaction was बच गया. That is the first reaction.
Wonderful. So Waseem, can you tell us more about where you're coming from and who else is there in your family and what is your schooling?
Sir, so I come from a place called Dooru Shahabad. It's a small town in Anantnag district of Jammu and Kashmir. So I have done my schooling from that town only. In my family, there's my dad and mom, and I have 3 younger siblings. I have done B.Tech in civil engineering also from NIT Srinagar.
All right. So you are from NIT Srinagar.
Yes.
So at least I think right now you'll be an inspiration to first your 3 younger siblings and a lot of your juniors from NIT.
I hope so.
Wonderful. All right. So first question to you, Waseem, is that how did you come to know about ForumIAS, given that most people come to us after their second, third attempt?
So I came to know about Forum from one of my friends, Suchitra, because Suchitra Sharma, he has already bagged a rank of 146 in CSE 2022. So he used to write ForumIAS tests already before me. So then I came to know, I thought that I should also look into it, and I came and took the series.
Wonderful. Suchitra, right?
Yeah.
So Suchitra, I remember like 2 years back he has secured a rank. So that time was it the highest rank from the area?
That time it was the highest.
126. So this year I think you gotten the, I think after Shah Faisal you've gotten the highest rank from J&K?
Yes, sir. I think after Shah Faisal and Athar sir.
Athar Ahmed. Wonderful. So after that now we have rank 7 from J&K. Wonderful. So when did you decide you were doing any engineering? At what point of your engineering studies you decided to go for civil services?
Sir, I think it was mostly in third year. In my third year, I started because from the 7th semester, you have to go for placements and all. But from 5th semester, we have in civil engineering, what happens that from 5th semester, it becomes very specialized. So it goes into deep structural engineering and all that stuff. So after that point, I was like, what do I have to do? And I started thinking on that lines. And in that time, coincidentally, I also came to know of UPSC. I knew of it, but I hadn't seen the syllabus and all. I saw the syllabus. My first reaction was like, this is what I want to read. That was the first reaction. And then I also thought ki I will get to be an IAS officer if I can do this. So I tried to do that. But in college itself, I read newspaper. That was one thing that I did for 2 years. And some things I started to read like Lakshmikant. That was the basic thing. Everybody does that. And I read some NCRTs like geography NCRTs. But more than that, I couldn't do a lot of things in college. Then after college, I started to do proper preparation.
All right. So these days, now that you mentioned Athar Ahmed, I can recall that a few years back, students who are in first year, second year, and third year, they've also started preparing for civil services so that they can clear it in the very first attempt. What is your suggestion, given the benefit of hindsight now that you can look back? Is it better to start once you've done your graduation, or is it better if you started from the second or third year of college?
There will definitely be people who have started it from first year, but I would also say that start it whenever you want, But in college, if you are thinking of civil services, then at least do the newspapers, do some basic reading, and make reading a hobby. Even if you read outside of UPSC, for example, I personally used to read a lot of books outside of like UPSC as a hobby. And when I came into UPSC preparation, the first attempt itself, it really helped me. I felt like I could write better essays, and in anthropology also I could write better answers. So that thing I would say, even if you have to do the proper preparation later on, do that basic stuff in the college.
Coming to the prelims examination, how many questions do you think one should attempt in the prelims?
Sir, as far as my opinion on this goes, I think obviously it depends on subjective perceptions of people, but I usually do from 85 to 95.
And have you been able to look at this year's paper?
I was just seeing it actually. Before coming here, I saw some of it. I think it's difficult, as most of the people think, but maybe, I don't know. I don't have the experience of being in the exam and writing that paper, but I would say whatever experience I have had with prelims, I think that is the number of questions that should be done. In rare circumstances, you can lower the question number probably to 80 or something like that.
All right, if I were to ask you to oversimplify the preparation strategy and come up with a 3-point agenda of how one should go for prelims, then what would be the 2 or 3 things you would say for anyone preparing for civils, for prelims?
So if I had to say 3 things about prelims, the first thing would be that you should do a lot of revisions of your notes or whatever source material you have, so that you remember every single line. Because sometimes what happens is, because of that one line, you may be able to eliminate, or you may be able to do something like that, and you can come up with an answer. That would be the first thing. The second thing is, do a lot of tests beforehand. Because that would help you in recognizing the number of questions that you want to do. So that, and usme you will also be able to commit lesser mistakes later on. That would be the second thing. And the third thing is, cultivate a mind that is peaceful. That is my suggestion, because I have felt that when I went into the first attempt, I wrote the exam like a test. I did not think of the consequences, so I was not thinking of future, I was in the moment. So I got good marks in that. But if you become anxious, you might not be able to perform at the same level.
Coming to the CSAT paper, so as an engineer, you've seen that the difficulty level of CSAT has increased only. So as an engineer, what do you think? We need to prepare separately for CSAT, or is it just we can go with the flow and conquer it like we used to do it like 4 years back?
I think, sir, now I have come to the conclusion that we have to prepare separately. Because this time also I got 75. So I felt like no.
After full effort, as in.
After this time I did some effort. Last time I hadn't done some effort, I got 90, but fine. This time I got 75. I think maybe if I would not have done that, I would have even gotten lesser than that. So I think yes, there needs to be some sort of preparation, because what happens in CSAT, it's firstly lengthy. You cannot do all the questions, so you have to focus on some particular part. And secondly, there are options that are very, very close to each other. In reading comprehension, you will get 2 statements that are almost exactly the same. So you have to do a lot of practice beforehand. It is definitely as important as JS1 now.
What was your general strategy 1 month before the prelims exam? How did your day look like?
So 1 month before the exam, I remember, actually, sir, you made me remember that 1 month before the exam, what I used to do was, I would wake up in the morning. So this time I did not read any newspaper, nothing like that. I just woke up in the morning. I would do one subject in the forenoon session, something like that. I would read the notes and all. Then I would do my lunch and nap and whatever. Then after that, I would start another subject, and then after that, I will take test papers. Because I had very less time this time, I did only in 1.5 months. I did the preparation for prelims. So what I did was, I would take test papers, do one test paper, then take its answers, highlight like whatever I feel that I don't know. So I would highlight that. That would take time. Actually, that takes time, but I would still do it. And then at the end, I would kind of revise whatever I had done in the day, or if I had to do some other revision or do some social media or something like that. That was it.
So you did not quit completely on the social media during your preparation?
Actually, no. Sir, my experience is that I don't use Instagram. I haven't used Instagram. Now I may use, but in the past I didn't use it. I had a Twitter account and never tweeted, only saw other people's tweets. So that I did not deactivate my account on Twitter. I had WhatsApp. I used to talk to my friends and all. I don't think, I thought that I was using it maturely, so it was okay. But for some people, it may not work well.
It may be an addiction after listening to your advice. They may be social media addicts, thinking that I'll be able to manage both of them.
Exactly. Matlab, don't become a social media addict. I don't want to be dishonest. I won't say that I didn't use it. I used WhatsApp and sometime I would use Twitter and all, but it was in a very limited capacity.
And how about Telegram? Will you, like, all the time active on Telegram?
No, not much. I just joined some groups, but there was so much happening in those groups. I don't know what is happening. There are like thousands of messages. After that, I won't even understand what is happening. So just some Telegram groups I joined in interview time that helped me, like for transcripts, and some for like these sort of newspapers and all these analysis.
Coming to your newspaper strategy, so you said you've been reading newspaper ever since your college. I have two questions. Which newspaper did you refer to, and how much time did you give to the paper, and did you ever make notes from the paper?
Sir, when I said that I read in college I made notes. So us time I thought that note making is important. I made notes for 1 or 2 years, something like that. And then I came to Delhi and discarded those notes because I never read those notes again. So that one thing I found that there's no point of making notes for myself. Some people can also make notes. I used to refer to monthly magazines and all. So that was one thing. And second thing, I read The Hindu at that time. But in this attempt, I did not read any newspaper. Only for interview preparation, I read some newspapers like Indian Express, Hindu, Live Mint, everything I would go get my hands on, I would read that. So in the interview preparation.
And how did you make notes, digital or paper notes?
Mostly my notes were paper. But this time I tried to do some digital thing also. Made some short notes, valuated notes for all of the GS.
Where Google Docs, Evernote, OneNote, what is it?
No, it was Google Docs.
Google Docs.
Yeah.
You made notes from Google Docs. Now, coming to your preparation for the mains examination, what was your broader strategy? How much of it was reading and making notes, and how much of it was solving test papers?
So this time my strategy was reading from the model answers. So simple. I did not make any notes. Took the model answers for 3 years. So read those model answers, then tried to write. And every day I would do this thing for GS. I would take 1 hour, 2 to 3 in the afternoon. From 2 to 3 every day I would write tests, and for then half an hour I would check the tests. So I would check the previous year questions, answers. So that thing really helped because I did almost, I think, till 2015 all the previous year questions I tried to do. That thing helped in the answer writing skill. So that was one thing. The rest of the day I would mostly read things, and sometimes in a week or so I would write tests also.
Wonderful. So coming to, let's say, General Studies paper 2, we have Lakshmikant, which we read for the prelims. Do you think it is sufficient for the mains examination?
Sir, as per my opinion, I think it's not sufficient. Because I feel definitely it can give you factual knowledge that you can use in answers, but you have to see from some other source as to the elaboration on those aspects, how you are going to write answers. So for me, that was again model answers, because I saw in model answers they had already written the answer, so I just saw those ki kaise likhna hai, what to write, what to not write. And then Lakshmikant say all the case studies, all the case laws or something like that, I compiled in one place in those digital notes, and that thing I used in my answers.
All right. You're a part of the Forum Mains Guidance Program. So now a lot of students are also currently a part of MGP. What advice would you give them to make maximum utilization of the guidance program?
So my advice would be that the comments that you're getting, take them, look at them properly. So for example, I think in the forum you have something like content presentation. So you have divided things into that. So look at all those aspects. If your content is fine, maybe your presentation has some issues. So look at the look at the comments in that kind of perspective, so that you can exactly work. And firstly, also I would say one thing, that once you write one test, then in the next test try to implement the last comments that you got. For me, sometimes it would happen in the last attempt, I would see the comments, just move on. The next test, same, and then the same. So this time I tried to see what are the exact comments. Definitely I would say take everything with a pinch of salt. For me also that is the case, for everyone I think. But take a very, very sensible look at the comments that you're getting. More than marks, I would say comments do matter.
All right. I remember there was a student, Pratyush Pandey, ranked 21 just a few years back. So when I asked him why he was not looking for mentorship at Forum, he said, "Sir, I was referring to the comments and it was brilliant and I implemented it and my marks progressively increased." So did you ever have good score in any of the MGP tests that you wrote?
I had good score in ethics. So what happened was I wrote one of the ethics tests. before that I was not getting that kind of marks. So I wrote that test. I thought that so I woke up one day, I'll tell you the whole story. So I woke up one day, I'm like, I don't know any ethics, let me write ethics test, let us see what happens. So I wrote the whole ethics thing. After that I got 105 in that test, and forum had the comments were like that you haven't written the time, so we are cutting like 5 or 6 marks. So the overall marks, I thought I am getting 111. That was a good enough score, and this time I exactly got 111 in ethics. So that was some sort of a coincidence. So that was one, I think, test that I got good marks in.
Wonderful. Uh, Coming in the ethics paper, if you see, what was your approach for handling the case studies?
So case studies, mein what I used to do, I had a set pattern. One was I would like firstly analyze the case study in my mind, write a summary of the case study. Then after that I would write the stakeholders. This thing I try to do in every case study. After that the questions sometimes is like find the ethical issues. So I would try to do that. Or if there is like what are the different things that you can do in such a case and evaluate the options. So I would try to make a table and write merits and demerits. After that, it is the standard way of writing, I think, ethics case studies. Then after that I would write some positive things that might happen, or some good words at the end. So that was broadly the thing. But in between this time also, what I tried to do was I gathered all of the good quotes of Mahatma Gandhi ji and other great leaders and all, and the examples. So everything I would write, I would substantiate with an example. I think that made it better. Similarly, for example, demerits and merits that I would write, I would always write, for example, if there was a case about you have to go against the system or you have to walk alone, so I will write akla chalo re or something like that. So that thing kind of those embellishments, they help.
All right, wonderful. In general studies paper 3, everybody has been a little perturbed by the marks that they have gotten. How did you score in general studies paper 3?
Sir, in GS3, so last time I had got 97. I think that was okay, a good score. But this time I got 90. And this time I had prepared better. So, to be very honest about GS3, I think what I did in GS3 this time also, I felt like there are some questions that continuously repeat. For example, in security, you get similar questions of left-wing extremism or something like J&K, cybersecurity, Northeast. So these things you should prepare properly beforehand. Then there are some parts where you cannot exactly say what will come, like environment. You never know, anything can come. Then now what UPSC is also doing, they're going into concepts. Like in economics, they're asking what is investment. So you have to also go to the basic concepts rather than also looking at the other side, which is the application. And also, for example, agricultural part, every year it's there. So this time I felt like when I was writing the paper, it was like previous year questions only. I personally felt that because there was a lot of questions that were repeated. I thought it was a good paper. I don't know. I got 90. But fine. matlab, that happens sometimes in this exam. We have to prepare on our side, and we can do that. Like take a look at the previous year question.
All right, Waseem, what is your optional subject?
Anthropology.
Anthropology. Tell me 3-4 things that all anthropology students who are looking for ways to increase their marks. What are the 2 or 3 things that you'll tell anthro students?
Same, I say in GS, I would say again, which is one is the previous year questions. You have to look at that. Obviously, syllabus is important, but previous year questions will also give you a sense that there can be a topic about Neanderthals, let's say, in syllabus, but they can ask hundreds of questions on Neanderthals. So you have to look at the previous year questions, what they can ask. That's the first thing. Write some previous year questions if you can. Write a lot of answers in test series. Third thing would be make very, very good value-added notes. This time I tried to do that. I did a lot of research in every topic. मैं ऐसा करता था कि I would look into a research paper or something. If I would get that, I would add names. And then in the real exam also, I wrote all of those names that this author has said this and ऐसे ऐसे थोड़ा सा. So your answers will become value-added, and I think that is what is needed in this optional thing. Because you have to act like a specialist, even though you might not be a specialist. So you have to remember a lot of things in that.
All right, wonderful. So, what board did you get for your interview, and what was the most difficult question they asked you?
So this time I got Preeti Sudan ma'am board. So the board was very cordial all through. The most difficult question I would say there was one particular board member who was asking, for example, about reservation system and all. And once I would answer, then he would go even further into it. Then I would go. Then ultimately it reached to consequential seniority and all that thing. So I had to say that, sir, I don't know. But he was like, still no, you should say something. I said, sir, I don't know. What can I say? So that was one thing where I felt, okay, I got kind of cornered. But rest of the interview was fine.
All right. Coming to the last question, which I often ask all my students, is that when we start our preparation, we start with a certain pen. And then we sometimes, only some of us are able to remain loyal to the pen, and then we change our pen just to score better marks in the, or write better answers, or write long mains answers. So what pen did you start with, and what pen did you end up with?
So I think I started with V5 only, ended with V5. So I didn't change my pen because I had seen the Anantnag Shetty's blog and his videos, and he said V5 is fine. So when I started using V5, I felt like it was fine. This time, in the middle, I thought I should use some Trimax or something. So I tried Trimax for one paper. After that, I was like, no, I'm back to V5. So mostly I used V5 only.
Trimax sometimes gets a little rough.
And what happened this time in the paper also was in GS1 especially. So I was writing with V5 only. I wrote with V5. I could see the answer on the other side also. So the ink was like piercing the paper. That became a real problem because when I was writing on the other side, I couldn't see that what I was writing. So my friend who was behind me also, he's rank 84, Naveed. So he's like, yeah, do you have a pen? My pen is doing this. Because sometimes the quality of the paper, I don't know what it was there. So it created a problem. In GS1, it was a problem. I think in anthropology also, in one of the papers, there was this issue of ink. So I would say choose your pen very properly. Because people might get stressed also if this happens.
All right. Waseem, do you read books?
Yes.
Which is your favorite book?
My favorite book changes every now and then. So I mostly read non-fiction. Currently, one of my favorite books is Rationality. It's written by Steven Pinker. It talks about what rationality is, what are the problems with human mind, that we can't always be rational, and how to be rational or something like all of these things. So it's a very, very comprehensive book. I don't think I have read a comprehensive book as much as that because एक इतने छोटे topic के साथ it deals with such a small topic and it deals with it beautifully.
All right. So Waseem, a lot of students are going to write the mains examination this year. And as you've seen, the prelims paper has been a little on the unpredictable side, as is the usual case every year, barring 1 or 2 years where we have something that is very conventional. So what message would you give to our friends who are writing the mains exam?
So my message would be, right now we don't know what is coming in mains. So what do we have? We have the all the past trends. My message would be, try to write as much as possible. Develop your skill, because once you develop the skill in mains, one thing is good in mains, which is you develop the skill. Even if questions change, you can write a good answer. In prelims, you can't do that. In prelims, for example, a question is there, you don't know about it, you can't do the question. In mains, even if a question that you do not know, people have written questions. I have seen many people writing questions that they exactly have no idea about, they're still writing a good enough answer. So that way, if you develop your skill, I think you should focus on answer writing this time. It would be very beneficial.
All right. So Waseem, thank you so much for coming. You had a brief association with us as a ForumIAS student. Would you recommend us to all your friends and juniors from college?
I think definitely.
All
So regarding this, I would also say that regarding the test series, I would definitely recommend, because there needs to be also some sort of diversity for the students. They need to see for themselves.
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much, Waseem, and God bless you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.